The birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Legacies. Tonight in beautiful downtown Jesup, across from, what's the name of the park?
Land of Corn.
Land of Corn Park.
Yes, which is a strange name for a park, but it's named after the passenger train that used to come through here, and actually it would stop and unload passengers and freight, and then take on other passengers.
Right. Thank you, Shana.
Waterloo or Dubuque, I guess. So.
This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We're with co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for November 6, 2023. And the cool thing is we're out in the town tonight.
That's right. So if anything happens, we'll know about it, won't we?
That's right. That's right. It's
and we don't get out very often, do we?
We don't.
No,
we don't.
This is a real treat.
I turned 60 and I became a homebody.
I got married and I became a homebody.
On tonight's show, we're going to talk about winners and losers. We're going to talk about last week. I forgot to talk about the artist Banksy. I will talk about him tonight. We're going to talk about. Have a seat. We got a guest just stepped in. We're going to talk about butter sculptures, the Chicago Bulls, the Co-work 591 News. We look at the events inside the Steve Brown Arts Center. We give you the top stories in Jesup. We discuss service and art. And Dale has something for you. The Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. It will be offering community programming starting in Jesup before expanding to neighboring communities. Programming will include a community speaker series that will showcase existing creatives who reside within the community, as well as a pop-up series that will spotlight and partner with a local business to provide opportunities for community engagement. The long-range vision is to house artists in residence in our communities. So look who's here, one of the guests of one of our most popular shows, actually, and his wife is hiding over there.
I didn't realize you were in town on Wednesdays.
I'm generally not usually, but it was parent-teacher night, and I sat down at one of the tables. And Miss Andrews, do you know Miss Andrews?
Oh, yeah.
Serena Andrews, right?
She sat there and she said, I just listened to your podcast and it was very entertaining, right? And so when Shana just come in and asked me if I'd do a podcast with you, I was like, really? So I said, sure, what the heck, why not? I had a good time the last time.
So flew in from Boston today and just to be on our show. So
That's great. Well,
I understand.
all honesty, no, but yes.
Yeah, when you say honesty, then that lets me out. See.
Where have you been recently?
Well, let's see. I've been in Charlotte, North Carolina, Virginia Beach. I was in New York, in Dallas. That's just been my last month.
Mm-hmm. So do you still have the family floor business going, or?
We do. Ian, my son, and AJ, my youngest son at Jesup High School. We do it mostly on weekends, and we've got one coming up this weekend in Cedar Falls. We did one last week down in Marion. Been really busy.
Well, that's good. And this is your wife over here.
That is my wife, Barbara.
And she's the one that, she's a Jesup kid, right? Yeah, okay.
She's the one that brought me to this lovely place.
She looks very familiar. So.
Yeah.
Even 25 years later, or whatever it's been.
When's the last time you were called a kid, by the way?
Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
I do that all the time.
Do you really?
I call people, now I had the kid in class,
Yeah.
and they're like 52 years
Yeah,
old.
no,
right?
I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call my own kids, and they're,
I know it. Everybody's a kid. They get our age, Dale. No, we're trying to get out. This is our 50th show. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the 50, because when I was on the last time, you were talking about sending you 50 things that were unusual, or that you had written down, and
right.
I got to thinking about that, and I said, I'm going to drop Mr. Gillespie a thing about 50 things that were unique to me, and one of the unique things is my oldest son Ian was born on the evening. The Red Sox were down 3-1 to the Yankees.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
That sure as heck
Yeah.
did. And where was I? That's one of my big 50 things. I was in the hospital with Ian on my lap when David Ortiz crashed a home run over the right field, out in the right field bleachers, and that was one of my 50 things I was going to bring up to you.
Okay.
But yeah, 50. I'm pleased to be on your 50th show.
Oh, good.
It's awesome.
A lot of guys get in trouble when the baby's being born and the wife's there and you're trying to watch the ball game at the same time. And so.
Yeah, it was dangerous. I almost jumped because if you're a Red Sox fan back in those days, right?
Yeah.
You know, those championships were few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is dangerous. I think dangerous is just the word that describes it.
But I've listened to you Boston fans complain about championships. Look at the success the Patriots have had. Look at the success the Celtics have had. You know, you can't complain about championships in Boston.
Just our nature. We complain about the sky being blue. We complain about a nice calm day. You know, we complain about beautiful trees that leaves are falling in the fall. That's just what we do.
Yeah.
So to complain about not having, well, let's see. While I was there, we were on a roll of 20 championships in 20 years between the Patriots, the Red Sox, the Celtics, and the Bruins. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if we haven't had one in a bit, I got to at least complain a little bit. So I'm complaining tonight to anybody that's listening and feeling bad for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Chicago, if they had had the Bulls run there, they'd be in bad shape, wouldn't they?
They wouldn't.
Right.
They wouldn't.
Right.
Well, I see the Bulls had players only meeting after the third game of the season. So
That's a bad sign.
yeah, that is a bad sign.
Yeah.
You're talking this year already.
This year, this year already. Yeah.
Well, I'm not complaining, but I do believe the Celtics will win the championship this year.
Yeah.
They're pretty handy, and I tell you, one of the players that has very little respect is, what is his name? Is it Porzingis? Porzingis, thank you.
Yes,
You know,
Porzingis.
he is very handy. He's incredibly handy. You know, he's only 7'2". That guy that they just brought in is 7'5" to San Antonio. He's going to change the Celtics.
I think we picked up a couple of players in the offseason that were the missing links last year, and I think we're going to do it. I do. I think we're going to do it.
What is it? Arizona Diamondbacks, they have a pitcher, I think Castro, they keep saying he's 6'7" and 200 pounds. And I thought, that kid should have been a basketball player. But he looks like he's like that big around, and he's 6'7". And so I thought, man, why wouldn't he weigh more than that?
Everybody's looking over at the Rangers and the Diamondbacks right now. The Diamondbacks, if the Cubs wanted to drop that fly ball, wouldn't even been in the playoff.
Oh, I'm sensing you're a Cubs fan.
No, I'm not. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm bitter.
I enjoy the way the Diamondbacks play baseball, though, where they do a little hit and run. They bunt a guy over, they steal a base, and so I enjoy watching that kind of baseball because that's the way baseball
Small
was
ball.
when I was a kid.
Yeah, small ball.
And Texas, I guess, is more a home run hitting team. But so I think baseball really has come around this year with all the rule changes and everything. It's a much more enjoyable game. And you look in there in the 6th or 7th inning, and it's only going 2 hours, and you wow, this is moving right along. So,
I do like the time clock because
Mm-hmm.
the scratching of oneself and the stepping out of the
Yeah.
box, and I got to rub my eyebrow, and I got
well, the tightening the gloves after every pitch and
right.
that sort of thing. I thought, oh man,
it was fell asleep halfway through the game, and it was 11 o'clock.
yeah.
So
You stay till 11.
We're going to let you play a game here with us. Dale and I
Okay.
play every week. If you those listeners know, we play a game called Winners and Losers for the week.
Okay.
And we share things that we think who the winners are and who the losers are. So Dale, who is your winner for this week?
Well, I had a hard time with a winner because it's been a depressing week. But I was saved tonight when I watched the 5:30 news, and Bobby Knight has died.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
a great Indiana coach, and I think that his legacy then is going to get a nice boost.
Yeah.
Nobody's talked about him for a while, so I was going to say there's going to be some nice press about him in the next few days, so I guess he's going to be my winner. And my favorite story about him is that you might remember one summer he was hunting with some people, I think in Texas or whatever, and he accidentally shot one of his hunting partners. And so the next year, Larry Baldwin takes some players to Indiana's basketball camp, and Bobby Knight is running the camp, and he's having some kind of a contest, like a free throw shooting contest, where first place is this and this and this, and second place is you get to go hunting with me. And so I like people that have that kind of sense of humor about things they have done, and so I never liked him as a coach when he'd yell and scream, and it always got me. He'd get up and be ran into the referees, and Lute Olson, he'd jump right up, and the referee had one on each side, because the only way to handle him was not to let him get ahead of you. So Olson was always right down there yelling at the referee at the same time Knight was, and so it looked like it was planned out. But anyway, I think his legacy is going to get a nice little boost here because he won over 900 games and had 3 championship teams, and so did a lot for basketball in many ways. So
Well,
I chose Bobby Knight.
little known fact, Dale. Bob Merkel, who lives out by Littleton, whenever Indiana would play in Iowa City, Knight would come earlier and go hunting with Bob, go
is that
pheasant
right?
hunting with Bob.
Wow, I did not know
he
that.
he hunted regularly with Bob.
Because Bob has the dog, right? The
Yeah,
hunter,
the German short hairs.
Yeah. Oh, I did not know that is something. I did
Yes,
not know that.
yes. So,
A Jesup connection.
yeah, and I believe Bob used to fish with him as well. Yeah. My winners are the unions in our country. This week, the UAW settled with the car builders. They got a 25% raise over the next 5 years, I believe, which is equal to what they got the last 20 years. So they got so the unions, and plus, if you look back in the last few months, the union has settled. The writers union has won out in Hollywood, and UPS has won. I was talking to a UPS driver yesterday, and he got a $7 an hour raise from that
That deal
victory.
right away.
Yeah, yeah.
See, that'd make a huge difference in somebody's life.
Oh,
How much
yeah.
extra money just all at once being there, so.
Yeah. So the unions are my victor for the week. Mike, do you have one or not?
Do I pick a winner or a loser?
A win. Well, you have a chance for a loser later.
Okay, well, I don't have a winner, but it might come to me.
Okay.
But I do have a loser.
All right. Well, you can start the losers then.
So I think we're all losers because we lost somebody. And I did not watch this TV show, but the TV show Friends.
Oh yes.
And so I watched a little bit of it, not a lot. But I didn't realize that how important it was, not only to people in the United States, but people all over the world. Mm-hmm. And there was people that they were doing a tribute to these Friends characters, and that they had talked about people in Spain and Italy and wherever, that when they watched that show, they could relate to being friends. Mm-hmm. The story about friends, and they were all kind of friends, and they're knowing each other in New York City, and it was kind of a wholesome thing, back in the day, in the 80s, was it? 90s?
Yeah, that was the 80s, 80s and 90s.
And they talk about how the last show was 53 million people watching that last show.
Yeah.
That was a very popular show.
So I think we're all at a loss, shall we say, for the loss of Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
So that's my loser of the week. All of us, we
Well,
lost.
If you look at NBC that Thursday night, they had an incredible run of shows. They had
Seinfeld.
Friends, Cheers, and Seinfeld,
Yeah.
Well, if you went back to way back, they had Hill Street Blues.
and Hill Street Blues
Hill Street Blues
besides.
and ER.
ER,
And
right?
West Wing, they had some huge dramas,
Right.
like from 9 to 10 and
Yeah.
there were shows that I did not want to miss. I would make my plans for the week so that I would be home to watch
Right.
those shows. And there's no TV show on now that I would do that for.
Was that back in the day deal before they had DVRs and?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to
it's
watch,
just,
yeah, you had to be
You had to
there.
watch it.
You
And
know,
you had no guarantee they'd ever show it again at that time.
That's a fact.
I am a big Cheers fan. I watch on Hulu every episode of Cheers all the way through. You know, when I get up in the morning, I'll just turn it on and go about my business and just you know, I won't sit down and listen. It's my radio in the morning. You know, I know the show and the jokes. You know, that was just back when there were only 3 networks. That was incredible entertainment at the time.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a little bit of trivia about Cheers?
Right?
Do you know what the bar's name was originally?
Oh,
And I'm from Boston, so I can tell you, I do know that.
you know.
Okay, as a real bar or in the show when they first did the show? Are you talking about?
The bar itself is called something other than Cheers.
Yeah, okay. I have been there and seen it, but I don't remember.
I can't tell you. No, I don't know that.
It's the Bull and Finch Pub.
I didn't know that. I had heard that.
I have heard that before, so.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, have you ever seen any show like Friends or anything in a foreign country where they've dubbed the language?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
Yes, I went to Greece in my earlier years. I was a sales guy, sold African hardwood flooring, and the company was located in Greece. There wasn't anything on TV that I could understand, but I
Yeah.
kind of would watch the American channel in Greek, right? And I couldn't quite understand what they were saying, but I could, with their mannerisms and what they were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I would do. I would watch an American channel all day over there.
Well, I saw Bonanza once where they had it dubbed in Japanese, and to see Horst Kite speaking Japanese, it was just had missed a move, you know. So,
And they're done talking, but the Japanese subtitle is still going, right?
yeah, so, yeah, it was just really fun. Just
And who's your loser, Dale?
Oh, well, I'm still with all the people in the Middle East, you know, in the Gaza, and I think no one's winning there. The Palestinian people are losing, and the Israelis are losing, and even some of those Hamas guys are getting killed, I guess. And so I just, to me, it's very tragic to think about just ordinary people trying to live, and you have a terrorist group that's running your country, you're the Gaza, the government, and you got another country that's bombing you because they're after the other guys, and you have no food, no water, no electricity, and there's not a damn thing you can do to better yourself. You can't leave. If you stay, you're going to die. And I feel for them because it must be such a helpless feeling. And so I think everybody's losing over there, and I don't see anybody that's coming up with any kind of answer right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I see Hezbollah today threatened that if Israel didn't stop their bombing, that they were going to invade from Lebanon to the north. So, you know, now that
Nothing like
could be seen.
calling your shot, you know. The thing with Israel is after World War II, they got together and they said, never again, we're not going to let anybody herd us like sheep into rail cars and take us to camps and kill us. We're not going to do that ever again. And so they're going to, if they ever go down, they'll go down hard.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody has to remember that it's not going to be easy, and they'll use everything they have, and there's always the possibility that they have some very fierce weapons, and so the potential is there to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
My loser is the University of Michigan football team.
Was it Michigan State last week?
It was Michigan State last week, but the University of Michigan this week.
What's going on there?
Well, illegally, they've been stealing signs from their opponents that they play. So they've been saying it's illegal to film your opponent's sideline because. So what happened was there's a man for the University of Michigan that was sitting opposite opponents the weeks before.
Yeah.
And videotaping the sideline. Well, every opponent has about 4 guys that give different signals. So like Barb would be giving a signal, Mike and Blake would be giving a signal. Well, then they can go through the signal guys and figure out who's giving the signals, watch the plays that are being done. Well, they've been caught. Are they the only ones doing it? Probably not. Are they the only ones that have been caught? Yes. And so they're gonna pay the price. So Harbaugh is in a lot of trouble, and they are undefeated. And the first ranking came out last night or Monday night. I believe Michigan is number 3. It is Ohio State's number 1, Georgia's number 2, and Michigan's number 3. And nothing's going to be done before next year.
Where did you hear this at? ESPN or something?
Oh, it's
today?
all, yeah, it's been out for
I
a
didn't know
long
anything
time.
about it, so,
Yeah.
okay.
I think they also, Harbaugh was either going to get a contract extension or he was going to get a new contract totally, and they've rescinded that offer.
They did,
Oh,
yeah. They say that he was going to flee to the NFL. Pete Carroll went from, I think it's Pete Carroll went from USC to Seattle.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, when he had Reggie Bush and they were caught cheating. So he left USC. Well, the NFL has since come out and said that they are not going to allow cheaters to come in like that.
Okay.
Because college is basically the NFL's minor league.
Right.
You know, whether they want to admit it or not,
Yeah.
it is.
Well,
So,
the Hawkeyes need a new offensive coordinator next year. Harbaugh, he was a former quarterback, so.
yeah, they do. Felt bad for
For Ferentz. But you
Yeah.
know what? Could they not score 50 points for the rest of this year and he would have made his 25 on average for the game?
Well, they had the number figured. I don't know what the number was. But
I
had
thought
to
it was
figure out.
25 a
but,
game.
Yeah, he's supposed to be 25, but he would have to. They'd have to average. The last I heard was that was before the last game. 36 points a game the rest of the year to make it to get the 25 average or something. I don't know. But yeah, the chance of them scoring even 20 points is pretty slim, going off last week's performance against a rather mediocre Minnesota team. And so,
And to that point,
yes, sir.
I'm a referee,
Okay.
okay? The last play,
Oh,
where,
yeah.
are you ready for this one?
Oh, yeah.
They said that he was waving, and that was a fair catch signal.
An illegal
and that's
fair
how
catch
he was
signal.
waving. He was waving below his.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right down
so
there.
let's take that and say that he was actually doing a fair catch signal. It is illegal for the opposing team to hit him, in which they did.
Yeah.
So they should have blown the play dead right then and there and given Iowa a 15-yard personal foul, which would have moved the ball forward. I think they caught it on the 45, right? If he fair catched it on the 45, they would have moved the ball to the other side to the 40. Ferentz would have had to do 3 running plays, kick the field goal, they would have won the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and you're exactly right. You know, they still had a chance to win the game, but how did it go? It went incompletion, sack, interception.
Right.
You know, and so, but Ferentz was on today in a press conference, and he was disappointed. He was disappointed with that. I can't remember the new AD that took over.
It's a lady, a woman, yeah.
She
Beth.
because she came out and did this during the year and said it during the year.
Yeah.
He wanted it done at the end of the year. But the problem is you've got people like you, Dale, giving millions of dollars to the university.
I'm a very generous man.
You know,
Can I get some tickets, please?
you know, you go in and say, you want it known right now he's out the door, or
Yeah.
I'm not giving you any money.
Yeah.
We are making groundbreaking news right here. Dale's given millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Now, everybody's
We are-
going to be lining up. So.
Yeah, we are establishing, what should be happening down at Iowa, and the fact that my illegal play should have gotten Ferentz the ball on the 40.
That's right.
Which would have changed the outlook of the game.
Yeah.
This podcast is going to go nuclear. I sense it.
I hope so.
They have had trouble with that official before at an Iowa game. I don't remember the circumstances, but they alluded to that in one of the articles. That was another game a year or two ago where this official made a controversial call against Iowa. I don't know if you remember the Jim Bain thing. He was a basketball referee, and he made a bad call against Iowa that cost him a game back when Iowa basketball was going strong. And, that man got death threats. I mean, he was really, and it was a notoriously bad call, and it cost Iowa the game. But people take sports very seriously sometimes, and you shouldn't, but it's hard not to.
So I want to ask you two guys a question. What is a symbol people know you are famous or well respected in Iowa? What is a symbol in Iowa that people would know that Dale's a millionaire?
Oh, because I had this thing, or because of something I have?
Yeah, something you have, or something that was done for you. Maybe a billboard outside of Kinnick, or
Yeah.
what
I think
is a symbol?
Maybe like you think of Carver Hawkeye, and you think of this man whose name is on the new building at UNI that gave the $25 million. And so I think if you get your name on a prominent building, that's how people know that you are pretty wealthy.
What would you say, Mike?
How would you know that you're famous from Iowa? How big your combine is?
No, there you go.
You know?
Yeah. I would argue.
Did you know he could talk?
I
okay,
knew that.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would argue butter sculpture is made of you at the
State
Iowa
Fair.
State Fair.
Yeah.
Who was the butter sculpture, one of the butter sculptures at the Iowa State Fair this year?
Was Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. There you go.
Clark, yes.
Yes. So she could probably be elected governor of Iowa. I don't know if she's old enough. She would be old enough. She's 21. She's 21. She's a senior this year at the University of Iowa.
Would she not have a natural group of people that would vote against her from, say, Ames?
She might. As Iowa begins its season, and I'm sure you saw they had 56,000 people, 55,000 people at Kinnick, and a little bit about Caitlin. She pretty good in middle school. She wasn't incredible in middle school, but when she got into high school, she was unstoppable. And they were interviewing Bluter recently, and they asked what was the hardest thing to teach her when she came in. And it was that she didn't have to do everything. You know, it was that she could rely on other people on the team. That was their biggest challenge. She came in, it would have been, was it the 1920, it'd be the 2021 season. And they had, the following year, they had the greatest player in the country for another beer day. I'll name who that player was. For a ginger ale, can you name that?
I'd have to plead ignorance.
I can picture her, but I don't.
Her name is Megan Gustafson.
Okay.
She was from Wisconsin, and she is now playing this rather unique thing, although she plays in the WNBA for Phoenix. A lot of those women, and a player like Megan gets $60,000 a year, which is terrible in the WNBA. When somebody like LeBron gets $20 million a year.
Right.
But she is playing in the British Basketball League and plays for the London Lions. And a friend of mine is the general manager of the women's team in in Glasgow, the Glasgow Gladiators, and they play against the Lions twice a year. So Gustafson plays for them, but she just went over here this last week, and she travels with one of those dogs, the Queen.
Corgi.
Oh,
A corgi.
She travels with a corgi. That dog's almost as famous as Megan is.
Well, can you get us tickets?
I could.
We could go.
Yeah, I'm
over.
gonna be set up
Yeah.
with all kinds of
We're going
tickets
to-
tonight.
yeah, sure.
Iowa tickets and Manchester
I
tickets.
see them play the Lions against the Gladiators.
Well, I will tell you guys something. I'm ashamed to tell you this. I'm terrible claustrophobic, and I've traveled the world. You know, went to Ireland multiple times and Russia multiple times, and I was scheduled to go to Glasgow last February. They have a men and women's team, and see 4 games and be there for 10 days, and I had the ticket bought, and I couldn't go. My claustrophobia just.
They couldn't get on the plane, you mean?
I mean, I just.
So you don't. I mean, you had to fly to get there.
I had to fly. I was ready to go. I mean, and I knew. I've told this story before on air about how I used to be a spelunker. I used to lead people through caves, and my roommate was also a spelunker and did the same thing. And we were young, you know, in our 20s, and before I started teaching. And my roommate woke up one night just screaming, and he was caught under his blankets, and he thought he was caught in the cave.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as I got older, I would wake up in the night in the dark, and I would just go crazy, turn all the lights on in the house. And I live in a very small house. I would feel the house closing in on me, and I'd go outside, and of course I'd be in the dark outside, and the darkness would close in me. You know, it was terrible, but I ended up sacrificing a $600 ticket last year because I couldn't get on the plane.
Well,
Wow.
that's too bad.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is too bad. Huh.
But Gustafson plays in that league. So
So she's still going to play in the WNBA?
yeah,
in the
yeah.
third season? Okay.
Yeah, she was like the 10th or 11th player for Phoenix.
Okay,
So
all right.
it's hard to stay in that league. You
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But
So Clark, they said it's $750,000 in her name, image, likeness, whatever, was in the paper the other day, that number. And so I've heard higher numbers than that, but they were reporting she's getting $750,000 this year. I don't know, she just signed with an insurance company, like State Farm or whatever.
yeah.
I keep waiting to see a commercial for that. She does Nike, and so she's making more money playing for Iowa than she would playing in the WNBA, I'm sure.
And she could come back, although this is called her senior year, she could come back next year.
Yeah.
Fifth year.
Yeah.
Yeah, for because of the COVID year. You know, it is. I'm sure she could get start businesses here in the state and do very well.
Well, I think she should get married and have little basketball players for us. You know?
Who does she date?
I have no idea. But,
Do you know who she dates?
It's a secret. I can't tell you.
I'll tell everybody the secret. She dates one of McCaffrey's sons.
Is that
I
right?
believe it is the one still in school, Patrick.
Oh, okay. No wonder he has anxiety problems.
yeah.
Man,
Wow.
the biggest girl that can wipe me off the court says,
Yeah.
I did not know that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't break up during the season, so it mess up both their heads and they won't be able to play very well. So
Let's see, what else did I want to talk about women's basketball? You look at the Big Ten, and you've got Ohio State will be very good again this year. Indiana will be very good against Iowa this year. And then LSU is going to be great. They won the national championship last year and brought in people.
is that one girl still there? or-
The one that was waving her finger.
Angel Reese,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Did you notice, and I think it was just her, but there were several players that had a lot of eye makeup and stuff on when they
Right.
were playing basketball. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And I said, why would you do that? You know, it just made no sense to me. So, just
If you-
a comment. You know, you can do it if you want to, but I was surprised to see that. So,
UConn, if they don't get hurt, has Paige Becker back from Minnesota. And South Carolina is supposed to be very good as well.
Isn't Tennessee considered somebody that would be a favorite as well?
Tennessee has always been real good, although they haven't been as good since Pat has died.
Oh, okay.
Her son coaches somewhere now. I can't remember where he coaches. Maybe it might be Marquette. All right. From Legacies, and we're with owner Shana Seastrand. Shana, thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Did you-
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, pretty neat to be out away, isn't it?
It is. This is our 50th show, and this is right after your 50th birthday, actually. Happy birthday late.
Thanks for
Yeah.
the reminder.
Oh, we wouldn't want you to forget how old you are. That would be terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been here in Legacy, Shana?
Well, we opened July 2019, so
Okay.
right
Just in
bef-
time, right?
right before the big COVID. So.
Yeah, yeah. And I should have put this in there earlier. What's your husband's name?
Matt.
And do you have children?
No, I don't. We don't have any children together. He has 3 grown kids, and we're almost at 3 grandchildren. Our
Okay.
3rd one's coming soon.
Oh, cool. Do you want to say hi to anyone before we go on or not? So this is almost 5 years in business.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it what you thought it would be?
I never even wanted to do this, to be honest. This was Matt's dream, to do the whole food industry. So
Yeah.
he said, buy a bar, it'll be fun.
And was he right?
It's fun at times. It's a lot of work. It's very stressful. His passion is food, so it's been a lot to deal with. So
What is your favorite meal to serve?
mine to serve
Yeah.
or to eat?
Well, both.
Oh,
To
I love
serve and to
eating.
eat.
I like when he does his smoked food, like on the weekends, like the prime rib. I like when he does that. He gets good feedback with his food. So
Yeah. I know several people that come for the roast beef sandwiches, the hot roast beef.
yep, every
On
Thursday,
Thursday night,
hot
yeah.
roast beef.
Yeah, I have several friends that talk about that. I've had it a couple times. Very,
We're
very
kind of
good, so.
creatures of habit, so we try to get rid of it, and then people complain. So.
Well, yeah. And,
we
well,
just
that's
stay
a
with
basic
it.
Iowa bar food, I think.
Yes, correct.
Hard to get along without it. And
So you have trivia contests in here too once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, we do once in a while. He's in college now, the guy that heads that up. So
That's Ian Farrell.
Ian
Is that
Farrell.
who does it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
do a lot of people do that, or?
just depends on what's
Okay.
going on that week. But
I mean, do you have like 10 or teams of 5 or how?
the teams can be up to 6 people, so
Okay.
sometimes there's 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah. Okay. So there's quite a few doing that, I would think. And so, all Jeopardy watchers, I suppose.
A lot of them, and they go to trivia all over. These
Yeah.
people.
I've
so.
always wanted to try that. I should come down sometime. It's just,
You and I and Blake will have to come
Yeah.
down. What night of the week is that?
He usually does it on Wednesday. I'm not sure when he's going to pick that back up,
Okay.
if he's got time.
no questions after the year 2000, though. I mean, I don't know anything. The last 23 years are just a blur to me. I have no idea.
So what did you do, Shana, before you worked in the restaurant business here?
I worked at John Deere, an assembly worker. I built engines.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Rosie the Riveter. We have Veterans Day coming up next
Yeah.
week, so I just stick it in World War II. All right.
Yeah.
That's great.
And what did Matt do?
He worked on his family farm. He used to sell equipment, paint the equipment. So he was kind of the jack of all trades out there.
How'd you guys meet?
We actually dated in high school here at Jesup, and then Alan Wright kicked him off the school bus. So that's how we actually met, is because of Alan Wright.
Oh, okay.
I had to pick him up and take him to school, so we
Oh,
started
okay.
dating in high school.
Yeah. Well, it's nice he doesn't hold that against
Yeah.
Alan. 'Cause,
I hold it against Alan.
So I know Matt has done an awful lot for Farmers Day the last several years. Just Alan is so appreciative of. I mean, we have all those flags that you guys
Oh,
have
yeah.
bought for us and everything. It's just great. When we lined the road, we went from Holly Tree Trot to the cemetery and had flags we didn't have to use. So we have lots of them
Yeah.
in reserve. So that was just.
Well, that was supposed to be anonymous, but
Oh, okay. Well, I won't-
Alan.
I
well,
won't-
no, Alan let that slip and
I
put it
won't
in the
tell
paper
anybody,
before.
yeah.
No,
I won't tell anybody, but no, it's just really something, and
Well, that's
so
good.
we really appreciate it. It's been,
Matt really likes Alan, so.
yeah, well,
He's
you know,
not scared of him anymore.
Well, yeah, I still am.
What we were talking before we went on air, Shana. Tell us about what you have going on Thanksgiving Day.
So usually Matt that's his favorite meal to cook. So he cooks absolutely everything, all the casseroles, the cranberries, turkey and ham, and usually it's over 100 meals that we serve that day, and they're all to-go meals.
Okay.
So we try to get the orders ahead of time that week, and then people come in between, it's usually 11 to 2 p.m., and they're all takeout meals. So, but he's kind of in charge of all the cooking, and I'm just here.
Yeah,
I just take the money.
So is it just you two, or is
Usually it's
there-
us two. Sometimes we try to get some people to help kind of do the assembly line back in the kitchen to make it go faster.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like in the styrofoam container kind of
Correct.
thing? And you get turkey and
Turkey,
Potatoes.
ham, casseroles, mashed potatoes and gravy,
Yeah.
everything, yeah.
cranberries.
We get
Pie
good reviews
and-
about it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think you would. Yeah. So,
What-
and do you advertise this somewhere, or
Yes,
where do you usually put it out? Or
usually on Facebook,
Oh,
since
okay.
we don't have a paper anymore,
Yeah.
so.
And that's what we're trying to do, Shana. We're trying
good.
to,
Thank
Shana, we're
you.
trying to take place of the paper. We have some great listeners. We're trying to get more listeners, and that's one of the reasons we're getting out today. And we're going to be out on event we're having here in Jesup. We're going to be in the second story of the
Gazebo.
band of the
Gazebo.
gazebo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna have Santa underneath of us. So we're gonna interview a bunch of the little kids that night.
Oh, wow. You'll have to be bundled up.
well, yeah, and Gillespie's letting his beard grow out so he can compete with Santa Claus
I'm
downstairs.
looking
so-
at it. And we're gonna eat more, trying to eat more. Obviously, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you suffer for your art, don't you?
Yeah, I
Yes,
do.
yeah.
I do. It's tough, Dale. It's tough. But how is it in the economy right now? Is it easy to get employees for you here at the bar or not?
No, absolutely not. It's been a struggle
Mm-hmm.
all along since COVID hit, so. But I think across the board, everyone struggles the same way we do.
I know people are getting used to it, and I've seen restaurants where they have a sign up on the wall saying, if you're worried about your slow service, we're doing the best we can, and take an application. We can use that help. So,
And we don't put signs up. I mean, I
Yeah.
think most people, if they see us running around, they kind of understand. For the most part, people are pretty gracious and patient with us.
oh,
so.
sure.
Right,
And
right.
people understand what's going on, and
Yeah.
it's no good getting grumpy. At least, it's just.
I mean, that's part of the
our
thing we
life,
didn't
yeah.
anticipate is, owning a business, you're pretty much married to it.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't know that we would always be here all day, all night,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
But
So
that's-
what days are you closed?
So we're closed Mondays, and then Tuesday we open at 4 p.m. But through the month of October, we've been closed on Sundays just to get some stuff done for the winter. And then with a grandchild coming, we decided to be closed on Sundays for now, just to get that all prepared for. So
Yeah.
No, I grew up in Hazleton. There was Jack Sheehan owned the tavern there. He didn't serve food, but but he worked, and then his two sons worked, and his daughter worked, and sometimes his wife worked also, I believe, and the whole family was involved with running that place as the kids went through high school, and then even a little after that until they moved on with
Yeah.
their. And so it's a huge responsibility, and you can see why a lot of restaurants they go so long and they say, okay, this is our last week, we're done, and then we just
you get tired.
yeah. Oh, you have to. You would have to.
We pretty much live out of laundry baskets.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys own the building? Do you rent the building? How does that work?
We own the building.
You do?
Yep. So
Because it seems like it's just one big building, isn't it? Or
well,
do you own the
the
upstairs?
hardware store owns their building,
Yeah.
and then we own this and the upstairs,
Okay.
and then BJ owns
BG still owns that next.
his
Okay, all
apartment
right. So
building.
it's all
yeah.
divided up like that. So okay.
So do you have apartments up above?
There are apartments up there, but they have not been lived in several years.
Mm-hmm.
So they would need quite a bit of work.
Yeah. First movie, Jeff Gerhardt lived up there. when he moved to Jesup for a little while before he went to Owine when he was in his first year teaching. Because I helped carry stuff up the stairs for him and everything. And so a lot of places have trouble. You have a lot of trouble here, like where the police have to come and that sort of thing? Or?
We've never had to call the police one time since we've been open.
Yeah, that's because you see every now and then different towns have to try to take a bar's liquor license because they call the police too often and this sort of thing. I was thinking I had never heard of anybody ever having any trouble here.
No,
so,
knock on wood.
Yeah.
We have
Well, yeah,
never.
yeah.
The only time they would come around is, say, maybe Farmer's Day, just to make sure we get people out by 2 a.m.
Right.
Yeah,
And then, that's just to watch the underage drinking as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
But it's pretty nice that we have not had it this year
Oh, I
since
think
we've
it's
been
great,
open.
yeah. Because
So,
a place ought to be able to run without having that kind of problem. And
because I remember back in my 20s coming into this same place we're here at Legacy's, one police officer would come in the back door and one would come in the front. So,
Yeah.
and we don't have that now.
Yeah.
They don't come in here at all. So,
that's great. I think that's wonderful because
so yeah.
it doesn't have to be that way.
No,
You know,
yeah. We don't have fights here at all either, so that's great.
Oh, this isn't over tonight yet.
Well, yeah.
What is your busiest time of year?
Well, we're heading towards snowmobile season, so we do get a lot of snowmobilers since they've opened that up to where they can park right out here. I think now that summer's over with and people are done with their river or vacation homes, it'll start picking up right now. So,
Okay.
All right. Well,
I was interested talking about beer. I see the beer truck out in the street every now and then where they're unloading stuff. So I found a poll through the third quarter of 2023, okay?
okay.
The 15 best-selling beers. Now, what would you say is your best-selling beer?
Busch Light.
Busch Light,
Jesup
okay.
is definitely a Busch Light town.
Yeah, it doesn't even make the list.
doesn't it really?
No,
Doesn't
it
even make the
Really?
list. Really?
Yeah.
Is that Iowa?
It was across America,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's by it was a survey of baby boomers. Those are people that were born between 46 and 64, so it's not younger people.
Okay.
And so one article said this Modelo Especial.
So it's right on the wall behind you.
Okay, that was.
We don't even sell that here because we
Okay.
very rarely will have people
Yeah.
ask for that.
One article said that was the best-selling beer in the United States. In this poll, Guinness was the number one selling.
We
beer.
have Guinness on tap.
Okay. And number 2 was Heineken. Do you sell that at all? Okay.
No.
And 3 is Sam Adams. I see that.
We have like Oktoberfest Samuel Adams, or we'll have like a summer ale,
Okay. Then they have Corona. And
Corona.
the first one I really recognized was, at number 5 was Coors. I know Coors.
We have Coors.
Yeah. There was one time you couldn't buy Coors in Iowa. Did you know that?
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
People drove to Colorado and bought cases of
Get
it
it.
and brought it back because they didn't market this far east.
wow.
Yeah.
It had higher alcohol content,
Well,
too.
Jessup's definitely a Busch Light town. We
Busch
go
Light,
through a lot
okay.
of Busch Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad because the Hardy Drug in Independence, you have the new store, and they have a sign saying BL 30-pack for so many dollars. And I just said, I thought that was Bud Light. So I was inside the store, they had a big stack of Busch Light. And I said, it's Busch Light. Oh, yeah, that's the one everybody wants. I just thought Bud Light. Not a big, because Busch was always like Budweiser's little brother when I was growing up. And, you bought that when you couldn't get Budweiser or whatever. And so, but it's really taking a turn. It's gone,
Yeah.
really, really high. A couple more, and you ever heard of Stella
Yep. Stella Artois. Yeah.
Artois? Yeah. And Miller Genuine Draft. And
MGD.
just Miller and Coors Light. Budweiser was number 12. Bud Light was number 27. And
Well,
that's really taken a hit because of
Yeah,
that controversy
because all
they
that.
had. If I asked you for a can of Falstaff, would you know what that is?
I've heard of it.
Okay,
but
but
I
they
don't
don't have
even know
any?
what it is. Yeah.
Can you order it, do you think?
Yeah, we can order just about anything.
So it's still out there? Oh, okay.
Hams and-
How about hams?
We can order hams.
Hams, you can get
But
that?
we don't have the
No,
calling
I
for
don't
it
want
yet.
you to order. I'm just wondering, these are the big beers that had lots and lots of TV commercials, and they sponsored baseball games and
Yeah.
were big beer names. And these others you never heard of. And so I just wonder if they're still available. Schlitz.
Oh, wow.
They
I
still
used
make
to
that?
steal that in
Huh?
high school.
Whoa, okay. And,
Hopefully it wasn't on anybody's roof in high
Blue
school.
Ribbon.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, yeah.
You can still get all of that.
You can,
That's
okay.
your old school stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering.
You can go through your beer vendor and get just about any beer you want.
Okay, I didn't know if they still made it or not. That's what I was asking. And you ever heard of Olympia?
Yes.
Okay, could you get that? Okay.
I'm sure you could,
That's from
but-
Washington, Oregon area, I think.
Yeah,
And
I've heard
that
of
was
it.
big. I know. I was in California, and people were dying to get Olympia and Coors because they couldn't get them. So that's why they wanted them. Then when they finally got them down, they were just the same as any other beer. So.
And I actually don't drink, so.
Yeah, well, see, it's you go to these restaurants, you tell the kid you like some coffee, and the kid, okay, man, I don't drink coffee, so I don't know how to make it. And he said, well, that doesn't sound too good. But so it's always nice to have someone that doesn't drink beer to recognize.
Well, yeah,
beer.
people ask me what something tastes like, and I can't really tell them, so
Yeah.
I'm not a good
Yeah.
seller.
Do you have any of the where they make beers?
Seltzer.
The little self breweries.
Oh, like Allerton or anything like that?
Yeah.
We've tried some of that, but we just stick with what the vendors bring in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend who went to one of those tasting places, and the guy asked him what he wants. He said, well, he looked at all the signs. He said, well, whatever you got that's close to Bud Light, I'll take that. So he wasn't willing to experiment. So. Okay. All right. Well, I was kind of interested in that because I know the controversy with Bud Light and this sort of thing, and then also with the old
And
beer,
hopefully
just,
that'll go back to
Oh,
that
yeah.
one thing. I think that was a huge misunderstanding.
Oh,
so.
sure it was. And I see they're advertising now where they're donating money to police forces or something. They're trying to get back in the good graces of the people. And so, a lot of those people just go off the top of their head and they don't really understand what's going on. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Okay.
well,
I was interested in beer. See.
Thanks for allowing us to record in here tonight, and we're going to grab some of your customers here.
I appreciate you guys coming in. too.
Yeah, and we may grab you again before we finish for the night. Thanks again for being on the air tonight and having us.
And
here
thanks
at
for doing
Legacy.
those turkey dinners. I think there's a real need. A lot of people don't think about
He
that.
loves
but,
doing it, so.
Yeah, well, as far as the need in the community, I think there's a lot of people that could use something like that. Because, we want just two, you hate to make a big turkey and all that sort of thing, and this makes it real easy. And so,
Yeah. It's his favorite thing to make.
yeah, well, it's there every year for him, see? So,
All right.
That's good. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
again.
guys.
Yeah.
This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We're with Mike Farrell, Dale Rueber, and Blake Tempus, and we're at Legacies tonight.
Beautiful downtown Jesup.
And across from
Crispy, beautiful downtown.
It is crispy.
Well, after this summer, I'm never going to complain about the cold ever again because I'm so happy it's not 110 degrees anymore, and I'd rather have it cold than be that hot.
That's a
So,
fact. Did we only get a week or 3 days of fall or what?
It was something. Yeah, it went quick, but it's coming back. It's supposed to be almost 60 the rest of the week. So,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Do you, Mike, have you or Barb ever heard of the artist Banksy?
Banksy.
Banksy.
What is Banksy?
Banksy is a unique artist. He is famous for infiltration arts, aerosol arts, graffiti arts, and stencil art. One of the most famous pictures is the little girl with the balloon. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
The little girl with the balloon. Except he did that in a print, in a frame, and sold for like $1.3 million at Sotheby's. Well, when it sold, a paper shredder started shredding the piece of art, and it broke halfway through. Well, the person that bought it for $1.3 million sold it for $25 million
Wow.
Even though it was half chewed up.
and it was half chewed up. Banksy is, as I said, a unique artist, infiltration artist.
Usually he paints on a wall, doesn't he? Or
He
doesn't do paper.
He paints on walls. He does paper, graffiti. He paints on trains, trucks. He does stencil art. This is stencil art. This kind of art here. where you put stencil there and paint over that stencil. Then that's graffiti there. He would do art where he would take a piece of art and go into like the Metropolitan Art is it New York City?
New York,
I
yeah,
believe.
the Met.
Yeah, the Met. And he would put up, they'd be showing Picasso's art, and he would put his art up among Picasso. And some of it would last for like 2 minutes, and some of it would be up for like 2 days. And people didn't notice, some people would walk up, look at it, not say anything. But Banksy is anonymous. No one knows him, but he's well respected. And actually, if he does stuff on walls, they will tear the walls down to keep his art and rebuild those walls. And his art is all over the world.
So is he a middle of the night kind of guy? Where he has to sneak in and...
His secret, he tells everybody that his secret is if you want to do art, you have to act like you need to be there. So you put on a hard hat, you put on one of those yellow vests, you get paper that is a work order that says it's a work order, and you go to work, and you can get away with it. And he has people working with him. He's not the only one that does it. He's got security, he's got people putting up the ladder, and he'll prepare the stencil.
So how does he remain anonymous?
Well,
if you've got this crew around you and you're...
He's from Brexit, England, and in Brexit, people believe that he knows, but nobody tells on him. His name is, there's a man by the name of Robin Gunningham in Brexit that is fairly well-to-do, that people believe he is Banksy. Banksy is painted in New Orleans. When New Orleans went through what was a Katrina,
Right.
a man named Rex Dingler did a bunch of Banksy-style art. Well, Banksy went to New Orleans and to help New Orleans, not because he was mad at Dingler, but he did a bunch of his own painting. But he's also painted in Chicago, London, New York, Gaza. His works in Gaza. He's fairly political. He started around 2003, I believe, and at first it wasn't very big. A lot of critics. One critic said that's not really art. You're not paid for your art. And he said, well, you're paid for your spiel that you put out. So and that's not art.
Yeah.
So they believe that Banksy is going to be put out and shown because guests did a lot of their clothes and put Banksy's art on their clothes. And Banksy believed that there shouldn't be any copyright. They're selling his art. They're selling his clothes. And so he went online and said, go steal anything that has my art in any guest store. Well, Gus is suing Banksy for telling people to do that. And here's the kicker. If he is brought into trial, he can be charged for all the street art and the graffiti that he's done throughout the world. And so it could end up being really bad for Banks. Now, Banksy was given an award, and Banksy tries to avoid people. He was given an award, and he went out and gave a street person his invitation to this award ceremony. And the street person went to the award ceremony and just started drinking the wine and got very intoxicated. Well, everybody thought, well, here was everybody watching Banksy drink this wine and eat all this food. And this guy finally said, this guy just gave me this card, I came here to eat. So, but that's Banksy. Now, a lot of people argue that graffiti is an art. Is graffiti art? I'll start with you, Mike.
You know, is beauty in the eyes of the beholder? Yes, but when you see it on train cars that go by, and you see it on overpasses and, vehicles, you can drive through New York or Philadelphia or a major city, and it's just spray painted all over trucks and cars, and so in that case, no. But if somebody were to tastefully, similar to Banksy, put something on the side of a building, yeah, I think it would be attractive, and I think it would be a positive thing. So it's good and bad.
Right.
So I'm non-committal.
Okay.
Well, I've always been against graffiti where you think you have the right to mess up somebody else's property. And we were in North Platte, Nebraska earlier this year. They have a big railroad yard there, and they have a tower you can go up and you can see miles. It's the largest railroad yard in the country or whatever. But we were asking the man there they have people just standing around that work for the railroad or whoever will talk to you and explain things. And I asked about the graffiti, tagging is how they call it, tagging the cars. And because there's a train going through and you could see that, and he was saying, and I said something about, about cleaning, getting rid of that as soon as they see it. And he says it costs X number of thousands of dollars to clean one of those cars. And so it'd be very expensive for them to, every time they see something, rush out there and repaint the car or whatever, and so that's why they don't. And so in that case, it's actually causing a financial hardship to the railroad. If you ever want to feel sorry for the railroad, I never do. So, I don't know, to me it's vandalism. If it's art, then you need to, there's a big mural in Independence on the wall, but somebody said, we want a mural on the wall, this is my wall, I want a mural on there, I'll hire you, would you paint this? And they'll paint the old mill or whatever. And so, to me, that would be art, but otherwise, to me, it's just vandalism, and I wouldn't want anybody to come and just paint a picture on my house, and even if it's a great picture, it doesn't go with my decor or whatever,
Right.
then I was, so I always think of it more as vandalism than art. So.
Okay.
So
All right.
with that said, I'm sure you both remember the happening, but what was the famous, it was an American too, in Singapore, who was out there tagging, and what happened to him? Do you remember that?
Oh, he was arrested? What? Yeah, okay.
Was he caned?
He was
He was
caned.
caned,
He
that's
got
right,
11
yeah.
lashes.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of him again?
No. Well, we were talking about this last week. Is prison supposed to be punishment, or is it supposed to be discipline, education?
Is it not both? You are punishing, and hopefully they're getting an education from the punishment in order to correct the behavior?
We were talking last week, that I guess Jim brought this up, it's like a school for criminals, so in many cases where kids that go into prison, they come out knowing more about how to be a better crook or whatever, and that it's not really fulfilling its mission. And if you watch the old prison movies, which, it's just fiction, but especially the 30s and 40s, and, the so-and-so on the chain gang or
Right.
the sadistic guards and locking them in the hole for 20 days or whatever, it was all punishment. And so prisons are overcrowded, so I don't think there's probably as much rehabilitation, like learning a trade in a prison that maybe we think there should be. I don't know. But to me, it's more punishment. It's just to get them out of society. And the United States has more people, the highest percentage of our population in prisons than any other country, as I recall. So I know we keep locking them up, and they keep going back. So.
Well, but then think about in New York and in Chicago what's going on right now. They don't lock them up anymore.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the stick, you can't correct the
Yeah,
action.
no, I understand that. I understand. To me, if you did the crime and the law says, for this crime, you are removed from society for X number of days, months,
Yeah.
or years. I think, yeah, I'm not in favor of just letting violent criminals or criminals of any kind just go without any kind of supervision or whatever. And even, they have the ankle bracelets, and they just cut them off and take off and
Right.
find them again. And so, yeah, no, when people complain about all of their friends or associates or whatever in their gang being sent to prison, well, what did they do to get? Nobody put them in there because they were innocent little lambs. And, if they're out at 3 o'clock in the morning, they weren't collecting for the Red Cross or anything. They were up to no good. And they got caught, and that's the price you pay, because it's all written down. If you do this, this is what happens to you.
Yep.
And so it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in cruel punishment. I don't believe in inhuman punishment, and I don't believe in sending young kids to prisons. I think there ought to be something else you can do with that. No, if you if you do the crime, you need to do the time, and so what happens to you? So
No. No.
But in most cases, especially like murder, people don't think of the consequences. They're in a mood to kill somebody for some reason, and they do it, and then they worry about the consequences later, I think. So
Right.
a lot of these things I don't understand. So because when the police come, they always look at the relatives first. Okay, who killed Grandma? All right, it was you.
We're getting some insight here. So
Yeah,
right.
well, I don't know if it's insight. I just I don't claim to be a great thinker or anything, but he asked, and so I had
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I just
There is no easy answer. If
No,
there
it's-
was, we'd
yeah.
already have the
Well, sure,
solution, right?
yeah, 'cause
There's
a lot
no
of-
easy
A lot
answer.
of people out there working on this problem.
Yeah.
So,
I think we live in a instant gratification society, right? And that most people aren't thinking of the consequence until after they've done something, right? So instantaneously, I'm going to steal that car.
yeah.
You don't realize, or you do, but you're not really thinking about, well, if I steal the car, I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
Or if I kill that person, I'm, whatever.
Yeah.
So if we had those solutions, or if we had the answers, we'd have the solution, and we wouldn't be always talking
Sure,
about
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that never goes away.
No, and it will never go away.
No, I don't believe so.
Well, Dale, do you have anything else you want to talk about for this week?
Well, are we long, or you got time, or?
We got a little time.
Well, I did some things. Next week is, right, it gets later this week, right? Veterans Day. It's all screwed up. It's the Veterans Day is always November 11th, but the actual day this year is November the 10th, so that people can get the day off for their 3-day weekend. But it's actually November the 11th. And November the 10th is a Marine Corps birthday. So they have stolen that from us this year. But a lot of people talk about veterans and ask, thank you for your service and this sort of thing. And you think about veterans, like there were guys in World War II that their job was to help General Eisenhower put his pants on, get his uniform ready, shine his shoes, so he didn't have to do all those little mundane tasks and think these great thoughts. Well, these guys who are responsible for dressing generals and whatever and shining shoes are veterans, and they should be. But there are other people who did much more important work that were not considered veterans, and I want to talk about one of those groups today, and that is the WASP. Do you know what that stands for? The Women's Air Force Service Pilots. You ever heard of them? Mm-hmm. Okay. And the idea is to have women pilots. This is during World War II, 42 to 44 is when they did most of their flying. And that would free a male up to do the combat flying. And there were 25,000 women applied to go and be one of these service pilots. And so 1,034 completed the training. And I'm sorry, 1,830 were accepted, and 1,074 completed the training. And so they flew over 60 million miles. They transported every type of military aircraft there was. They towed targets for live practice and aircraft shooting. And they simulated strafing missions and transported cargo. There's a woman named Jacqueline Cochran in 1939. She came up with this idea of women flying for the military, and she wanted to be part of the military. So this general was sympathetic to her, so he let her fly a bomber to England. When they started this WASP program, you had to already be a pilot. They would not train you to be a pilot. They trained you to be an Army pilot, but you had to already have a flying certificate. You had taken flying lessons and be a licensed pilot. You had to pay for your own uniforms. So only 40 of these over 1,000 had a uniform because they couldn't afford to pay for it. You had to pay for your own quarters. You got $250 a month, which was 2/3 the amount that the male civilian pilots got. But you had to pay for your own quarters, your own meals, all your own expenses. Their family had to pay to get the body home, had to pay all the funeral expenses. They were not permitted to put a flag on their coffin like all veterans get. Could not be buried in Arlington National Cemetery, had no veterans benefits at all. Their training elimination rate was comparable to the men's, but they were still paid just 2/3 as much. They would go to a factory where they made airplanes, and they would fly the plane as a test pilot. First person to fly it, they would test fly the plane, and if it passed the test, then they would deliver the plane wherever it needed to go. They flew 12,652 aircraft of 78 different types. When they were towing targets for live fire practice, many planes were shot at because the gunners thought they were supposed to shoot at the plane instead of the target. So their planes would come down full of holes, and several women were shot in the feet, and there are actually 14 women killed doing this kind of thing. The tow planes were not properly maintained. Sometimes they were using the wrong octane fuel in the planes, so the planes would crash quite often. And one plane crash, they analyzed the gasoline, they found sugar in the gasoline. So there's a lot of prejudice against these women flying. Towards the end, some women pilots tested rocket-propelled planes and jet planes. When they had the B-29 bomber first came out, the Super Fortress, and the men pilots were hesitant to fly them. So this General Hap Arlen, he put 2 women pilots in the B-29 and had them fly it with the idea of shaming the men into saying, the girls are doing it, you need to be doing it too. That turned the men around. And so the men would fly them, but he had to put the 2 women in there first. Then when these bombers were broken up, shot up, whatever, they would come back to be repaired. And then the women test pilots would be the ones who would first fly them to make sure they were okay. Towards the end of the war, in 1944, the men civilian pilots were running out of work. And so they started lobbying to get rid of the women pilots. So when bills went into Congress, they had women in Congress that were trying to get bills to get these women veterans' rights and this sort of thing, and they never would pass because they were lobbied against so badly. A lot of prejudice against them. The parachutes that they were given were built for men. If you got in a parachute and jumped out of the plane as a woman, it would just slip right off with you. And they never changed that. There's no bathroom facilities on these bombers made for women, so they could go to the bathroom. Sometimes they'd have to stop on their flights and stay overnight or whatever, so a lot of restaurants would not serve them because they were wearing pants while they were flying the plane. So there's a lot of prejudice against them. So it wasn't until 1977 that they were granted veterans' rights, and it took acts of Congress and presidents working, and remember Senator Barry Goldwater was a pilot that ferried planes around, and he worked really, really hard to get them because he knew what they had gone through. So anyway, so there's a lot of people, and there's probably more people like that, but these women did everything right, and they were as military as anybody could be, and yet they never got any benefits for it. And when they were dismissed, they were told, go home. If there was a plane, a military plane flying towards their hometown or wherever they wanted to go, they could bum a ride, but if there wasn't, they had to pay their own way, buy their own train ticket or whatever, and go home. They had absolutely nothing. So anyway, my whole thing was, there's a lot of people that are veterans, but a lot of people who aren't veterans that actually should have been veterans, and there's probably more than just this group here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center, have any idea for an event, go to stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290 0241 to leave a message. Thanks to Mike Farrell for stopping by, and thanks to Shana Seastrand and Matt Seastrand for having us at Legacies
Very
tonight.
nice, yep.
Yep. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day, and remember, each day is about little victories.